It's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Monterrey has just got underway where Tunisia take on Japan. Tunisia defeat in their first game, Japan the draw against the Netherlands, so both sides desperate for a win this evening, and they'll be hoping for a decent game. Tunisia, of course, under new management now with Hervé Renard taking over from Sabri Lamouchi. Tunisia do have previous to doing this in other World Cups, so they'll be hoping that it does kick their campaign off a little bit better. But Japan were decent against the Netherlands, and they'll certainly see themselves as favourites this evening. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Luke Ashurst taking you through the action. Luke, we were saying off air before that it's probably going to be down to Japan to set the quick pace in this game.
Yeah, it probably will be. They did their very best in the second half against the Netherlands to do that. So, and for Tunisia, you feel like this game is going to, if they're going to have any chance in this game, it's probably going to be playing on the counter-attack, because one-on-one is, that's an early penalty shout. The referee, is he going to point to the spot? No, not initially. But we've got an early problem here for Tunisia, and it's a potential penalty inside a minute.
It certainly is. It was a throw on to Japan on the left-hand side, level with the penalty area. A quick throw into the box, a quick challenge, and our referee immediately saying that we're going to have a little break in play. It was Ayase Ueda. I think they're going to give a penalty here. You're absolutely right. It's the captain, Shaqiri, who's gone in with a bit of a lunge there. And to the Japanese bench, it seemed obvious that there was going to be a penalty. To us, it seemed obvious, but we've now had a throw-on taken. We play on, so there is no penalty.
The only thing I can think of is, have they been a bit lenient because it's very early on in the game? I'm not sure, but he's very, very lucky, Elias Shaqiri, the Eintracht Frankfurt midfielder. He goes right through the back of Ueda there inside the penalty. It takes none of the ball. It's almost a kick through the calf, really, of the Feyenoord forward. I think he's very, very fortunate there, the Tunisian skipper, and it's a nervy start for Hervé Renard's side at the beginning of this one.
It certainly is. I'm sure we'll get another replay. We just had the one replay before play resumed then, but it's now gone back towards goalkeeper Darman here for Tunisia. Plays the ball up towards the halfway line. Quick turn there from Mejbri. He gets blocked. Just to remind you that it is Darman in goal for Tunisia. Rekir, Talbi and Bron as the back three. Then it's Valery, Shaqiri, Mejbri and Abdi as the four in midfield, with Sad, Tukneti and Slimane as the attacking three for Japan. It is Suzuki in goal with Tomiyasu, Itakura and Ito as the three at the back. Doan, Sano, Kamada and Nakamura make up the four in midfield, with Junior, Ito, Tanaka and Ueda making up the attacking three. And this is the first time that Tunisia have got forward. Mejbri at the edge of the area turns and goes for goal as well, and that is not too far away. It was always just a little bit too high from when he hits it, but it was certainly dipping at the end.
Yeah, well, they were on the receiving end of two absolute belters from Yassine Ayari in their opening game. Tunisia looking for one themselves early on. I tell you what, he's not far away at all there, Hannibal Mejbri. That's a great effort from the Burnley midfielder. He certainly had Suzuki scrambling. As you said, it was always looking like it was going to go high and wide from the moment he struck it, but the fact it came that close to finding the back of the net shows his quality early on in this one, and it's warning signs for the Japanese that they cannot allow players like Hannibal Mejbri that space in and around the penalty area, because it will cause issues.
Well, here come Japan now pushing forward down the right. That's a great ball from Ito towards the edge of the area. Tanaka turns and he's got Nakamura on the left-hand side. He's into the box, across the 6-yard box now, plays one in. It's a great chance, and Japan take the lead inside 3.5 minutes, and it's tucked in by Daichi Kamada. The Crystal Palace man is delighted. A lot of Japan fans behind that goal as well, but they've been promising this since the first minute.
Yeah, absolute delight for Japan and Daichi Kamada. It's a brilliant start for the Asian side. We said that they were going to have to set the pace, and they certainly have done, going from back to front. A brilliant move from the back line, moving the ball forward quickly through the space. Tunisia were poor in transition against Sweden, and they've continued in that poor form despite the new manager. That's a lovely ball in behind, and it's Kamada simply can't miss inside the 6-yard box.
No, he can't. Once that overload comes in on the left-hand side, there's just too many players there for Tunisia to deal with, and as that ball comes across from Nakamura, I'm just wondering whether or not it might actually come off a Tunisia player last. The Tunisian players are appealing for a foul. I'm not sure they're going to get anything from the referee there. It was just too quick across that 6-yard box, and it does actually go off the heel of Kamada in the end, and I don't see anything that's going to save Tunisia there.
No, I don't either. He was very, very fortunate to get given a goal in the first game against the Netherlands. Daichi Kamada obviously got the equaliser that almost just hit him off the back. On this occasion, maybe a little bit more convincing. He's in the right place at the right time. But as you can see, Hajime Moriyasu, the Japan manager, saying that they've got to stay switched on. They've got the early goal that they were looking for, But at this level, if you switch off, the opposition will punish you. You know, Tunisia struggled against Sweden, but they did still find the back of the net, so Japan can't rest on the laurels. They've also probably got to have one eye on goal difference as well, given how heavily the Dutch managed to beat Sweden earlier on today. So very much, it's still work to do for Japan.
No, it certainly is, and as you say, scoring early on does set the pace, but it does also mean that you can become complacent, which is why Moriyasu was just put a ball over the top now and away there into the penalty area. Well, he was straining to get on the end of that. It was always going to be very difficult to keep that one down. It's the right idea, though. It was a lovely ball from deep. He's looking to see where the defender is, looking to see where the goal is, and he's just a little bit off balance, but it was a nice idea.
Yeah, he does just enough there, I think, Dylan Bron, as he gets back towards Ueda. He doesn't quite cross the line and give away a penalty, but he does just enough to knock the forward off balance and out of his stride pattern and cause him to take that effort off balance. But it's good movement from the fine old man to get in behind and get wrong side of the defender. He started brightly, the 27-year-old. Japan has started brightly, and for Tunisia, they have to settle into this game quickly, because as we saw against Sweden, it could get ugly.
Well, it could get ugly. I mean, I would say there's probably about 4 or 5 players in the 11 for Tunisia that haven't even touched the ball yet. Meanwhile, Japan have already taken the lead, and they're comfortable in possession here with Tomiyasu now down the right-hand side, forward towards Doman. His back heel doesn't quite reach its target of Junya Ito. It's been one back, and now here is a chance for Tugnetti. He gets blocked on the halfway line, and Japan back in possession now with Kamada pushing a ball forward down the right-hand side into the penalty area. Goes Ito. That's a good challenge there, though, from Bron, just stopping that attack in its tracks. And now here comes Tunisia, but immediately just an overload of Japanese players on that right-hand side. The ball does get away from Abdi, plays it forward. A challenge there, though, from Salo, and straight away the ball down the right-hand side has been blocked off on this occasion. Put out a play there by Rekia, but Tunisia just can't get hold of the ball at the moment.
No, they can't. I mean, Japan have started with some pace. You know, they were a little bit slow at times against the Netherlands, but this evening they've been very quick onto the ball. The pressing has been fantastic. The quick passing has been superb. And at the minute, Tunisia can't keep up with them, whether it's a lack of quality on the ball and unable to deal with the press of those in dark blue, or whether it's just the lack of defensive shape, which you can understand given the fact that they're under new management mid-tournament. Either way, tricky start, although they've just been given a free kick there. Tomiyasu going through the back of Hannibal Magebury, and an opportunity for the North African side just to take a moment on the ball and catch their breath, because inside the opening 8 minutes it's been frantic to say the least.
Just on that, with you say with Hervé Renard taking over, is this a knee-jerk reaction to a disappointing first game against Sweden, or is there potentially something underlying there even before? Because you'd think there has to be something there before the tournament as well.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have thought so. They didn't win three of their 4 friendlies going into the World Cup. The only friendly they did win was the first of which against 10-man Haiti, and they only won that game by 1-0. Having watched Haiti's opening 2 games, they've been relatively disappointing. They drew 0-0 with Canada, they were beaten by 10-man Austria by 1-0, and they were thumped by Belgium by 5-0. So the form wasn't great going into the tournament, it has to be said, and they weren't great in the African Cup of Nations as well. So as we said, the form wasn't great going into it. Maybe a sense of panic a little bit, feeling that actually they could quite easily get embarrassed because they lost 5-1 to the worst team in the group. I'll break off, here's a chance.
Oh, it's a great chance. It must be 2-0. What a challenge that is inside the 6-yard box. Absolutely great work there from Dylan Bron. He keeps Tunisia in this game because Japan were a whisker away from taking a 2-0 lead. It was a ball down the right-hand side, a bouncing ball that should never have got through towards Ayase Ueda in the first place. He absolutely does. I think it was Taubi there inside the 6-yard box. But what a challenge that is from Bron.
Yeah, it's Monsar Talbot who's done by the bounce, isn't he? And Hervé Renard is absolutely furious with his centre-half. But Dylan Bron does brilliantly well to get back and put the challenge in. Because as you said, Kamada was there to almost certainly tap in to make it 2.
Junya Ito now with the corner kick. Lifts one in from the left-hand side. Good punch away there from Darman. Loose ball over on the right-hand side. It's fired by Ueda. Takes a deflection. Oh, it's just about saved by the keeper. He just about gets his body to it. I think the goalkeeper himself has literally hit the post, but he avoids a second goal there for Japan, only just.
Yeah, only just. I mean, he's having a look at his defenders, Eamon Darman, asking what on earth is going on, because they're all over the place at the minute. Tunisia, Japan now, for the second occasion inside 30 seconds, have come mightily close to making it 2-0.
He actually saves it, and then there's an attempt. It's a double save almost.
Great challenge.
Yeah, it's almost a De Gea-style slide there from Darman. But he's certainly been kept busy in these first 10 minutes. We've got a corner kick now to Japan on the right-hand side. The goalkeeper just trying to make the point to our referee that he's seeing some pushing inside that penalty area. So Mr. Kovac now coming across, getting a word in with both sets of players. Before we see this corner kick, the referee's just not allowing the corner to be taken. Are they potentially checking for a penalty with the previous set piece? It certainly seems to be a bit of a delay. So for the time being, we're not seeing this corner. We haven't been shown a replay of the penalty area either. So now I think we are being told we can play on. So whatever they wanted to check, they're quite happy now for this corner kick to be taken. It'll be the same taker as from the left-hand side. So it'll be an outswinger this time from Junya Ito. Plenty waiting inside that 6-yard box. Here comes the ball out, quickly hooked up in the air, and it's played away by Slimani. Chased down here all the way towards the right-hand side by Doan. He can't keep it in play. It will be a throw to Japan and Tunisia. They're hanging on here now not to concede that second goal.
I think he's given a free kick, the referee, for the challenge from behind there by Sad. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They are hanging on at the moment. They just don't look settled in the slightest. They look nervy, they look disorganised, and they can very much thank their goalkeeper. We're seeing the goal line technology now, see just how close it was. I mean, that's not even, that's like quarters of millimetres.
I mean, what's that, 2 or 3 pixels? I mean,
Yeah.
it can't be any more than that. It's tiny. But here comes Japan again, a ball played in from the right-hand side. The keeper just watches it sail over his crossbar. It's Junya Ito. He just played a delicate ball over from the right-hand side. It just hovered above the crossbar with the keeper watching it nervously. But now Tunisia have cleared their lines. The ball going down the right-hand side. Mejbri chasing it, but it will be cut out by Itakura and out for a throw on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, the goalkeeper again, Darman, has just looked around to his defenders and thrown his arms up in the air as to say, is it just going to be me stopping the ball going into the back of the net this evening? I mean, they are leaving him totally exposed at the moment in between the sticks. That is as close as you're going to get, by the way, to not getting goals. We've just seen the goal line technology, but something is going to have to change quickly, Tunisia. Thankfully, from their point of view, they're not going to have. It's not one of those where you think, okay, just hang on till half time, and you've still got half hour to go. In about 10-15 minutes time, they get that hydration break, and Hervé Renard can give them some sort of instructions. But right now, it is very much last-ditch defending on more than one occasion, and they are holding on, as you've said, Paul.
No, they are, and I say that. I mean, Japan can be got at. It's not as if they're completely stoic defensively, but they're just not being tested at all, as Jan Valery there struggling to keep that ball in play on the right-hand side. As we can see, an exasperated Eamon Darman. We're going to see a replay from the reverse angle. It is a fabulous save from the keeper, make no mistake. I mean, we made the point that it's basically just a couple of pixels stopping that ball from being a goal, but it's a double save because he saves it with his hand, sort of drags it around the post, and then slides in to stop the rebound from Ueda as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. We've seen some fantastic saves in the tournament already from goalkeepers. We saw 16 fantastic saves from Curaçao's goalkeeper in the last game against Ecuador. So it's been a tournament where we've seen great goals, but also great goalkeeping as well. It has to be said. Just going back to your point about Japan being able to be got at, they absolutely can be. I mean, they're playing 2 wingers at wing back in Ritsu Doan and Keito Nakamura, so they can certainly be got at if Tunisia can get on the front foot. The problem is every time they get the ball, whoever's in possession is surrounded by 3 in dark blue, and yet somehow, even if they get the pass off, the next player is then surrounded by 3 Japanese players, and you just think, how on earth do you play out of it? So I think if Tunisia can get on the front foot, get the ball out wide, they can cause Japan problems. It's about getting on the ball and getting the ball out wide, though, that's the problem.
Well, as the ball goes over the top now, they won themselves a corner kick. I don't think they have. Slimani. Well, actually, I think that may have come off Itakura last, that they've managed to gain a little bit of territory here, and Itakura couldn't keep that ball in play. But it's a very good point that Luke makes, that Japan is certainly set for being a side in possession. They're a side that wants to really overpower Tunisia just with their attacking threat, but it does depend on them actually being in possession. As soon as Tunisia get the ball down, they have got a couple of excellent ball-playing midfielders, but we haven't really had a chance to see any of that. But despite that, it's taken 14 and a half minutes. They have got their first set piece and a chance now to get to the ball into the penalty area. Plenty of pushing and shoving, and it's an outswinger. It's a flat ball in from Assad. And he'll be very pleased to hear that the referee has stopped this corner kick because of pushing and shoving, because that was a very poor delivery.
Yeah, it was a poor delivery. I feel like it's one that maybe looked worse because the referee stopped it. I think maybe it was one off the training ground and just in the end nobody made the run forward. But yeah, he'll be happy, I think, to get to retake this one.
Yeah, may have to try a different variation now that everyone has seen that one, but we'll see what Elias Saad wants to do this time. Gets a bit more height on it. It's an angled ball. It's headed away. It's actually come off the head of Itakura, the man who gave the corner kick away. And this time his head goes out for a throw to Tunisia back over on that same corner. So still a chance to get bodies into the box. No attempt to try and get a long throw in. It's just been taken short. It's back now with Saad. Under a bit of pressure, he rolls it back towards Jan Valery here on the halfway line. Then he pings the ball up towards the left-hand edge of the penalty area. It's touched on by Doan. It's then hooked back into the box here by Abdi. Headed away towards the edge of the area. A bit of a heavy touch, but driven back into the box. And it drops Kylie. Oh, it was inviting a strike. Not quite sure whether it was that Tukneti who couldn't quite pull the trigger, but now it's broken and Japan are on the counter-attack here with Kamada. Down the left-hand side, he's got Nakamura on the overlap. That's where the ball should have gone. He plays it back into the middle. He's challenged by Shqiri, and that kills the move there and then. But Tunisia had a chance to shoot inside the box and didn't take it.
Yeah, they did, and they've given the ball away once again. Tanaka with brilliant play. Yeah, it's an interesting one. They've gone clearly with Tenekti through the middle by the looks of things as the striker, and he had the opportunity to pull the trigger. But I think anybody who's watched enough of Celtic in the last year will say he's not a confident player in front of goal. He's clearly a player with ability, the 23-year-old, but he's one who I think is lacking a lot of confidence. I think maybe the move to Celtic almost was a bigger move than he was expecting, not quite aware of just how much pressure is on you as a Celtic player. And I think over the course of the season, we just saw on too many occasions for the Scottish side, he just final third, he just almost seems to crumble in terms of ideas, and he did on that occasion. A player who's playing through the middle for his country at a World Cup should be stepping onto that ball and thinking, brilliant, your eyes must light up, you fire towards goal first time, and you get it on target, and you force a goalkeeper into a save.
When we commentate games like this, normally we're the ones to criticise a player for being too keen to shoot. He's too keen to have that Hollywood moment, whereas actually sometimes you need a player just to have that confidence. Possession so far, 58% for Japan to 32% for Tunisia. But here comes Japan again down the left-hand side. A ball in from Ito is hooked clear. That's a decent clearance from Taubi. Ball then played back towards the edge of the Tunisian penalty area. And this time it's played away by Tukneti up towards the halfway line. The referee, I think, has spotted a foul in favour of Tunisia. Ben Slimani's not happy because he's saying that they should have just been allowed to carry on playing. But in fairness, it was just a ball towards the halfway line. It was Mejbri who was fouled. And yeah, he was. I mean, it's Tomiyasu jumping into the back of him. Nearly got a boot in the face there, Tomiyasu, just as he was falling into the back of Mejbri. But it's Tunisia now restarting play. And Sakiri then heading the ball all the way back towards Darman. No pressure on the goalkeeper this time. Looks like a pretty much a full crowd at Monterrey this evening. Japan always travel in big numbers. Haven't seen too many Tunisia fans in the stadium.
Looks like there's a lot of Mexican fans with those green jerseys in the crowd, which is always good to see. I mean, if England was hosting a World Cup, I'd do everything I could to at least get to a couple of games.
I absolutely agree. And you've got to say that of the three host nations, I'm hoping that fans of the other two won't be offended, but of the three host nations, Mexico are the most football mad out of the three countries, aren't they? So they'll be absolutely thrilled at co-hosting this tournament. But here come Tunisia now down the right-hand side. Sad, just losing the ball at the edge of the area. It's what Luke said, 3 Japanese players on him. He had no way to turn. And here is Kamada now trying to get the ball forward. Playing it all the way back now towards the edge of the own penalty area there. Hikiro Ito now to Itakura. Coming up to 19 minutes gone. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. Tunisia 0, Japan 1. And it's absolutely a deserved scoreline. Japan certainly making the better impression at the start of this game. Tunisia just starting to find their feet a little bit more. But you just get the feeling that if Japan wanted to, they really could try and put Tunisia to task. Because here comes Nakamura down the left, playing it back to Kamada. Now it's with Hiroki Ito. Long ball to the edge of the area. There's going to be a foul, I think, in favour of the goalkeeper there. as it's actually Junior Ito, one Ito playing it to the other. But I think actually after all that, Junior Ito might have hurt himself as well, but the referee's just decided he's impeded the keeper too much.
Yeah, it's one of those where the goalkeeper's led with his knee as he leaps into the air, as you're taught to as a young goalkeeper, and he's just caught Junior Ito as he goes up. It's going to be a painful one for the 33-year-old, but I think the correct decision in the end, he did jump into the goalkeeper. Just seeing a replay from the ref cam of the Daichi Kamada opener. I mean, he doesn't have a great view of it. The referee, it has to be said, he won't have known who it came off of last. But that's one of those where maybe the ref cam on that occasion is not the best, but we've seen some brilliant angles of some fantastic goals so far in the World Cup.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah. It's quite weird to sort of see. I suppose referees and police officers, there is a similarity, and I suppose it is a little bit like seeing a police officer wearing his body cam. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Some of the views as the ball's been looping into the net and stuff has been absolutely fantastic. As Hervé Renard, well, he's a permanent fixture. He's been involved with the last few World Cups, hasn't he, with various nations. And he's certainly getting some instructions out to his players. I wouldn't be looking forward to that hydration break if I was one of the Tunisian 11. Because it seems like Hervé Renard is going to have to try and rewrite the entire script in those couple of minutes, because his side are just not making an impression on Japan attacking-wise at all.
No, they're certainly not. They're not playing really with an out-and-out striker. They haven't really, in my eyes, got any sort of creative spark. I mean, I like Anis Ben Slimani as a player at Norwich, but he is often surrounded by arguably more more technical players, and therefore they can use his sort of box crashing ability to really affect games, whereas they don't really have that sort of real technician in the midfield. Tunisia, breakovers, that's almost a chance. Play through and behind Ueda, trying to link up with Junior Ito over on the far side, but the ball will just bounce through to goalkeeper Darman. But yeah, Renard doesn't look happy. I get the feeling he thinks his game plan isn't being acted out by Tunisia. It was always going to be a difficult game, particularly coming into this one with a new manager after a 5-1 thumping against Sweden. But it clearly something has annoyed the French manager, who at this level is very, very accomplished. He's been a fixture of international football for an awfully long time now.
He certainly has, and I think what will frustrate him the most is that there just seems to be a bit of a lack of urgency about Tunisia. As I say, you can be outclassed by an opposition, and in World Cups you often get mismatches in terms of the two teams, but you can't say that Tunisia are sort of tearing up the turf to really get back into this game. They're sort of being a little bit tentative. There may be a nervousness there. We saw with Tugnetti with the nervousness about not having a shot, and the fact that we're even mentioning that, I mean, that was barely half a chance, and that's as close as Tunisia have got really to getting anywhere near scoring. As the ball now played back towards Zayon Suzuki. He was certainly kept a lot busier in that game against the Netherlands. The goalkeeper has been pretty much jobless in this game so far. And the ball now just played out towards Ito. I'm expecting that we're going to have a hydration break the next time the ball goes out of play, as Japan just slowly but surely getting this ball away from their own penalty area. It's with Itakura. Back to Ito Itakura again, looking for options. Tanaka is actually playing in a deeper role to what I had him down on paper. Maybe that he's just got a slightly freer role here, the Leeds United man. So over towards Ito now on the left-hand side. And this is the kind of possession that's going to really frustrate Hervé Renard, because his side just can't do anything.
Yeah, no, they can't. I think this was to be expected. I think Japan want to control the ball when they can, settle into the game as best as possible. And that's exactly what they've done since taking the lead. Yes, they'll try and play with high energy when they've got the opportunity, but there's no point expending that energy when there isn't the chance to come forward and open up the opposition. So they've done very, very well in that case. It's not the hottest evening in Monterrey tonight. I think it's just over 20 degrees, but from what I could tell on Google, it's I think 89% humidity. So it's not roasting, but it's certainly humid, which can make it very, very difficult.
Absolutely, very close indeed, but we are getting that hydration break now. The players are making their way over to the half, and just like the British broadcasters that don't go to an ad break, we won't be going to an ad break either, so we're going to remain here. And it's an impressive stadium, of course, looking at the Mexican stadiums for this tournament. Yes, Azteca, of course, is the one that always springs to mind, but they have very impressive venue, this one in Monterrey. And looking at the media centre there, just above the main stand, looking full of journalists. They would have been impressed with what Japan did at the start of this game, but Hervé Renard is almost like he's just trying to get that moment where he can get all of his players together and try and get something out of them, because they need a spark from somewhere.
Yeah, they do. I like this approach from the Tunisia manager. Just sort of calming things down. Like, we've been very vocal on the sideline, but I think now, when it's this hydration break, when it's a chance for players to catch their breath, there's no point barking orders and being too over the top. It's calm your side down, maybe look towards a different approach. At the end of the day, we talk about this hydration break as maybe like a tactical timeout for the two managers. It's worth remembering, it is only, 2 or 3 minutes that they stop the game for, and it's mostly used by players to cool themselves down. So, there's not a huge amount either manager can do, but it does give an opportunity for Hervé to maybe make a couple of odd tweaks here or there, and it gives us an opportunity to see replays of what's gone on in the game so far. Mightily impressed by Japan once again, as I was against the Netherlands. They've only lost the 4 times since the end of 2023, which tells you just how impressive of a team they are. They lost to Croatia in that in the World Cup on penalties in Qatar. Had they not lost to Croatia, I feel like they could have gone a heck of a lot deeper in that tournament, and I think they could pose a real threat this time around.
They could. I mean, they've been building up. As I say, I remember as a young kid going to see England play Japan in the mid-90s in a almost half or even 2/3 empty old Wembley Stadium, and they seemed like a team of players that you'd not heard of. There were hardly any Japanese playing in Europe. Then you fast forward to 2002 when they co-hosted, and they were already starting to build a team then. And now they are a very, very different outfit. They are a side that certainly have to be respected. One of the top Asian sides in the world football, that is for sure. And as we have now come to the end of the hydration break, we're at 26 minutes. It is Tunisia 0, Japan 1, and it will be Luke to take us through to half-time.
Cheers, Paul. Thanks a lot. It's been a fascinating game so far, one that Japan are on top of, both performance-wise and scoreline-wise. Tunisia, though, has slowly but surely grown into the game, you'd say just about, to the point where they're not quite being ran ragged as they were towards the start of the game. But we are going to get restarted with the Japan throw-in over on the far side. Ritsu Doan of Eintracht Frankfurt will get us moving once again. No real rush from the 28-year-old. As I mentioned earlier on, is a winger by trade, plays as a wing-back for Japan, with Nakamura on the other side, also a winger by trade for his club side, Stade Reims. As the throw-in is eventually taken by Doan in towards the penalty area, cleared away initially by Rekic before being sent further forward by Itakura. It'll be gathered on the near side now by Nakamura, though a loose touch looking towards Kamada down the line. Sees the ball out of play for a throw-in and a chance for Tunisia to get their first touches after the hydration break. I have to say I've quite enjoyed seeing Daichi Kamada in a forward-thinking area so far this evening. Obviously we normally see him in a double pivot for Crystal Palace alongside Adam Wharton, but playing in a number 10 position alongside Junior Ito, we're seeing his forward capabilities brilliantly tonight. So I'll break up because there's a chance here now for Tunisia. It's Abdi driving down the far side, looking to try and mount a counter-attack. He gets away from Doan, but a loose touch inside the penalty area. Sees Takeru Tomiyasu take the ball away from him, and the Japanese can get clear deep into Tunisian territory. But better from Tunisia on that occasion, getting Abdi away down the far side and crucially getting him one-on-one with Ritsu Doan.
Well, that's exactly it. They've got to try and do that. They've not really been able to put any kind of pressure on that Japan defence so far. And we saw, it was interesting, what was Hervé Renard was very calm and measured during the hydration break, but as soon as we restarted, he's back to screaming at his players again. Obviously, they're not quite implementing what he asked them to yet. But the point you made about Kamada, I was a little disappointed with him at times in the first game because his deliveries from set pieces were really poor in that game against the Netherlands. But I completely agree that he does have all the traits of being a more attack-minded midfielder. And who knows now, with a new manager at Crystal Palace, he might be given that little bit more license as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Here the ball is now, though, with Talbi, Lorient centre-half for Tunisia. Feeds Hannibal Maidbury, who looks like he'll be playing championship football next season with Burnley. It is worth mentioning is still without a manager. Craig Bellamy once again this week being linked with the Clarets job. Talks of Stephen Gerrard taking over in Lancashire seem to have gone quiet as the ball played down the near side for Jan Valery. Is intercepted well by Nakamura, but put out of play for a Tunisia throw-in. Cleared away by Itakura, out of play for another Tunisia throw on the near side, further into Japan territory though, as Valerie will send into midfield, looking towards Sad. It's been intercepted and cleared away again by those in dark blue, before again Valerie will get it down the near side, but it's tackle once more and sees the ball out of play. This time he's forced to throw backwards to Dylan Braun. Now into the middle of the park for Talby once more, over onto the far side now for Omar Rekic. Down the line for Abdi, back to Rekic once more. Into midfield now for Shkiri, who it is worth mentioning, as early as Japan scored, he almost gave a goal to the Japanese even earlier on, given he nearly gave a penalty away inside the opening minute or so.
That's right, and we've never really been shown a full analysis replay of that. We just had a very quick, brief replay before they took a throw on and decided there was nothing to see. But here comes Japan now.
Yeah, here comes Ueda driving forward. He had the option on the right of Juniorito. It's still a good goal! What a screamer! What an absolutely brilliant strike from Ueda that is! The fine old man has taken his chance. I thought he'd squandered it as Tunisia got men back, but the space opened up for the shot from distance, and Ayase Ueda has found the bottom corner brilliantly to double Japan's lead.
What a strike that is, and it comes from absolutely nowhere. A little lull in the game, it was going a little bit quiet, but all of a sudden Ueda gets his chance, looks up, and it's a real precise finish. He puts power into it, but it's not a pile driver. It's more a real precise, almost GPS-guided finish there from Ayase Ueda. And for all the heroics there from Ayman Darman from close range, he's not able to do anything there, and a very frustrated, exasperated Hervé Renard looks on. I want to see a replay list just to see whether or not this is just a fabulous play from Ueda, or has potentially the goalkeeper got to take a bit of the blame here as well. I mean, the defenders once again do absolutely nothing. Ueda's got time to set himself, then feint, then set himself again. But when he puts his laces through it, it's a fabulous strike. The goalkeeper maybe could be reacting a little bit quicker. We'll see from the reverse angle as well. It's a bit of a nutmeg in the strike, but it's a wonderful hit.
Yeah, it certainly is. A fantastic effort from Ayase Ueda. Took his chance in the final side after the sale of Santiago Jimenez last January. First full season as final starting number 9 this season. Got 26 goals in 38 appearances in all competitions for Feyenoord, and he's continued that fantastic form into the World Cup, and that is a brilliant strike to make it Tunisia 0, Japan 2, and all of a sudden all to do for Hervé Renard's side. If they fall to a second defeat in 2, they will be knocked out of this year's competition. And all of a sudden, that goal for Ueda really blows the group wide open. You look towards the goal difference swing that is needed. Japan get another couple against the struggling Tunisia side. They'll be level on goal difference with the Netherlands after their thumping of Sweden earlier on. But you've now got Asting San, Tunisia on 0 points and -6 goal difference. Sweden on 3 points and a 0 goal difference. Japan currently second on 4 points with a +2 goal difference. And Netherlands currently top on 4 points with a +4 goal difference.
It makes that last game between Sweden and Tunisia absolutely crucial, because it'll be the head-to-heads that are looked at first. And if they're level, then of course they'll dip into the goal difference. But if those two sides, depending on what happens in that last game, and as I say, I haven't written Tunisia off completely in this game yet, but I've got to say, so far they haven't given me much proof to think they are going to be able to turn this game around. We do get some shots of some Tunisia fans there. One of the chaps we saw had a hat with Qatar 22 on it, so he's obviously a very seasoned Tunisia fan, but whilst they do well in the African Cup of Nations, they struggle to really live up to the hype at a World Cup.
Yeah, they certainly do. They've been bitterly disappointing in this World Cup. They were pretty disappointing in the World Cup in Qatar as well, although they did pick up a victory in the final group stage game against eventual finalist France, which you'd have to say is a pretty big scalp, but drawing 0-0 to Denmark and losing to Australia just meant that victory against France ultimately meant nothing in the end. They'll need a similar shocking result this evening from 2-0 down if they want any chance of staying in this tournament, as they've given the ball away in midfield once again. Sano winning it back well, linking up with Al Tanaka of Leeds United, but that pass forward from Japan's number 7 is poor, and Tunisia win the ball back once again. Rekic will launch a long ball down the line looking towards Tenetki. It'll be gathered by Abdi after the header from the Celtic man. He'll return the ball back to the number 26, trying to get away from Al Tanaka, but he does brilliantly brilliantly well to get back at the forward and win the ball back, and Japan can look to play out from the back. It's a lovely turn from Junior Ito over on the far side, brought down by Hannibal, and that'll be a free kick to the Japanese in midfield. And you just see the quality there of Japan off the ball superbly well. It's Tanaka who gives the ball away deep inside Tunisia territory, sees that their opposition are getting back on the counter-attack, and he runs not quite the length of the pitch, but not far off, and wins the ball back brilliantly off Sebastian Tenekti.
No, he really does, and it just encapsulates the way that Japan have approached this game. They felt from the start that they wanted to set the pace. They got the early goal, and they haven't really looked back. If anything, you could say that Tunisia haven't taken advantage of the fact that there was a spell of 10-15 minutes where Japan actually dropped off a little bit as well. Now they seem to be absolutely bang at it again, and you just fear for Hervé Renaud's side, because you certainly wouldn't rule out Japan scoring again before the break.
No, you certainly wouldn't. Here's how Tanaka once more in an attacking position, plays it onto the near side for Ito. That's Hiroki Ito. Now here it is with Deichi Kamada, drop deep to get involved in midfield before feeding Ritsu Doan. Now down the line for Junior Ito, trying to turn away from Abdi and Rekik, but the Nice fullback does well to win it back and lay it off to Hannibal Maidbury. Hannibal, long ball over the top, looking towards Jan Valery. There's a chase on here between Valery and Nakamura. Nakamura holds it up well, wins the ball back, and will just lay it off to Zion Suzuki, who will launch long to put Tunisia back under some more pressure. The back three struggling to deal with an initially miscommunication between Braun and Ben Slimani. Eventually, though, the Norwich City midfielder will get clear, as that's a foul from Sano on Hannibal, and a free kick for Tunisia, I think just inside Japan territory. But this game all of a sudden now being played at very much a frantic pace after that second Japanese goal. Ben Slimani, ball fired onto the near side, is brought down well by Sheffield Wednesday's Jan Valery. Back now with Dylan Braun. Into the middle of the back three goes to Talby. Talby over onto the far side for Rekik. Down the line to Abdi. Abdi surrounded by two in dark blue. Was he then caught off there by Junior Ito? The referee says no and just signals for a goal kick. I think that's a little bit harsh there on Ali Abdi, because I thought he was away down the far side. He looked like he was held up.
I think he was as well. And it looked to me like the referee was almost thinking about it, and he was about to sort of give the free kick, but then he almost gave himself like a mental replay and decided, nope, I don't think there's enough in that. And it just sums up the way Tunisia have had nothing in this game so far. And even a sort of a 50-50 decision there doesn't go their way either.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Hiroki Ito now for Japan. Back to his captain, Itakura. And across for Sano, the Mainz midfielder. Here's Takehiro Tomiyasu, formerly of Arsenal, of course, now of Ajax. Back to Itakura. Another Japanese defender playing for Ajax in the Eredivisie. They've got a strong Dutch contingent, shall we say, in the Japan squad. A number of players find themselves playing in the Eredivisie at the moment. You look at Ueda for Feyenoord, Tomiyasu and Itakura both for Ajax. They'll break off. This is a lovely run from Junior Ito, still going into the penalty area. And oh, how unfortunate. He kicks the ball into his right leg and sees the ball fly into the hands of Darman. It's a lovely run from Japan's number 14. And unfortunately on this occasion he's unable to get the shot off inside the penalty area.
Couldn't get the shots away, but the run was really promising. He'll be very disappointed that he couldn't get that move finished off in the end. But he's looked good in this first half. He's seen a lot of the ball as the ball deflects out. That is going to be a throw to Tunisia here on the right-hand side, despite Hajime Moriyasu's protests. And Tunisia will be glad to at least having a little bit of possession, but they need to really think about how to sort of rewrite all of this in the second half.
Yeah, they certainly do. Here's Montessart Talby on the back three for Tunisia. Will lay it off to Braun, who will launch it long over the top, looking towards Ali Abdi. Header one, though, over on the far side by Ritsu Doan, who's defended brilliantly so far in this game when called upon. A couple of times Ali Abdi's looked like he's gotten away from the Frankfurt man, but he's got back at him well, and he's been supported brilliantly by the likes of Kazuya Sano and Ao Tanaka. Here's Omar Rekik, though, for Tunisia once more along the back three. Japan's press of Tunisia's back three seems to have tailed off in sort of the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. Understandably, the energy levels have been brilliantly high from Japan throughout this game, but they've got to remember that it is this game is almost certainly won. Isav's got to start moving towards the game against Sweden. At least the longer this game goes on. Here the ball is now with Itakura. Tomiyasu taking his time over it before stepping towards the centre circle. Here it is now with Al Tanaka. No pressure on the ball whatsoever from Tunisia. There hasn't been throughout this game, which I think has partly been their problem, to be honest. They've made it arguably too easy for Japan. You've at least got to test their ability to break through a press. As a long ball is sent over the top looking towards Ritsu Doan. He'll keep that in well up against Omar Rekik. He wanted to send the early ball in, didn't have the options. Instead will lay it off to Junior Ito. That's a great ball to the back post. Oh, Kamada's touch lets him down, forces him backwards and allows the pressure to come in from Jan Valery, but he keeps the move going as he finds Ito. Here it is now with Al Tanaka. Itakura will spread it across for Ritsu Doan. In fact, it's Junior Ito trying to get away from Abdi, and he's fouled the Tunisia number 2. He can't believe it, but referee here is blowing for a free kick, and chance for Tunisia to get the ball back once more.
Yeah, chance for Tunisia has a little bit of respite, but yeah, it's a very good point you made. I can't really understand why Tunisia aren't just chomping at the bit to really close Japan down. It's one thing that Japan may have a couple of players that just outshine Tunisia in terms of quality, and seeing a very super slow-mo replay of that strike from Ueda really is a fabulous strike from the edge of the area, but it doesn't change the fact that I haven't seen too much of Mabry pressing. I haven't seen too much of Skahiri pressing either. Sad and Tuneti have to be dropping a little bit deeper as well. They've got to try and do something just to win that ball in midfield and give themselves some sort of chance of having possession, because they're making it too easy for Japan, and they haven't really been able to address that throughout the whole of the first half.
Absolutely. Just over 40 minutes gone in Monterrey this evening. Independent off-tube studio-based commentary. It's Tunisia 0, Japan 2. Goals from Kamada and Ueda. The difference between the two sides at the moment, at least on the scoreline, performance-wise, it's been a bit more than those two shining the light for Japan this evening. As they've won the ball back once again in midfield. Ali Abdi's been left stricken over on the far side, but he's very quickly back to his feet as he sees Japan on the counter-attack. Here's Nakamura trying to move down the near side. Doesn't fancy taking on Jan Valery, so we'll move it inside to Sano. Here it is now with Kamada. Back to Al Tanaka. Tanaka down the line looking for Doan. Into Ito. Now looking for the flick back to Doan. It's been read well in the end by Shikiri. And further cleared down the line by Omar Rekik, where Itakura can gather deep inside his own half. Here it is now with Keisho Sano once again. We'll slow things down to walking speed as he feeds Al Tanaka inside the centre circle. Back along halfway it is with Itakura. Now Tomiyasu, ball down the line for Ito. Back to Tomiyasu once more. Here it is now with Sano onto the near side for Hiroki Ito. Down the line to Nakamura, lovely flick, feeds at Kamada, looking back inside for Nakamura. The pass is intercepted well, and this time Tunisia do just enough for Talbi to get clear, although again Japan win the loose ball. I have to say, I do feel a little bit here for Elias Sad, because he's having to do a lot of running, basically in between centre half and centre half. He's just got no chance of winning the ball on any of those occasions as it comes over the top.
No, absolutely, and he's been isolated. We've hardly mentioned Slimani at all, and it's just the further evidence of the fact that Tunisia haven't been able to get their game plan down on the field at all. And from Japan's point of view, they just got it far too easy in terms of possession, and on the few occasions when they don't have the ball, they win it back very easily. They're on the attack again now. Yeah, they are on the attack again. Switch ball looking towards Nakamura on the near side. It's headed away well by Jan Valery, gathered though by Ito, who then feeds the ball into Kamada. Was he fouled from behind there by Dylan Braun? Yes, he was, says the referee. That's going to be a free kick for Japan, and an opportunity for them to swing the ball in. I have to say I was mightily impressed with a couple of deliveries they swung into the box against the Netherlands. However, I think it's fair to say Cody Gakpo and Ryan Gravenberg maybe had the better of the deliveries into the box in that game. But they've swung in a couple of half-decent deliveries already tonight. Can they continue that half-decent form? I'd argue it suits the left foot of Ritsu Doan a little bit more, but it looks as though it is going to be Junior Ito to float this one in with his right boot. Indeed it is. I tell you what, it's not a bad ball. Not convincingly dealt with after the punch from the goalkeeper. Still the chances there for Japan until eventually Elias Shikiri can launch miles into the Japan half. Bizarre that from the goalkeeper. I mean, I'm of the school where keepers should be catching it rather than punching it anyway. But on this occasion, the ball's coming into him at chest height. I understand if it's up in the air, it might be difficult to pluck it out of the sky, but he's effectively waiting for that ball to drop to his waist level, and then he's trying to punch it. He really should have been trying to catch that, as the match stats really work against Tunisia here. They have 1 effort off target, whereas Japan have had 5 in total, 3 of them on target, and of course 2 of them in the net.
I'm a little bit surprised that Japan have only taken the 5 shots so far in this one. I suppose they are pretty conservative on the ball, as they're looking to try and make the opportunity now away the edge of the penalty area. It's challenged well from behind. Maybe a counter-attacking opportunity here for Tunisia, as here it is with Saad. Plays it back off to Valerie, challenged initially by Tanaka, then held up well by Kamada. Valerie's done brilliantly well to turn around the corner, looking for Elias Saad, who was then challenged by Hiroki Ito brilliantly, and it's come off of the Hanover 96 man and out of play for a Japan throw-in on the near side. Brilliant defending from Hiroki Ito of Bayern Munich. Again, another Japanese player playing in a top division. I think that's one thing that Japan have done really, really well. They haven't tried to hold on to their better players in the domestic league. They basically encourage players to go abroad, travel to Europe, and really hone their craft and become really technical players. And you can see that the entire starting lineup plays in what I would consider a top division in Europe, and you can tell technically that they, as a side, they really benefit from that.
No, they really do, and I think that despite the fact that the Japanese league actually at one time were really trying to spend money, they made an effort to get some big sort of international stars. Iniesta, of course, famously playing in Japan for a good few years, but actually it's a very fair point that they have encouraged their players to play abroad, and it hasn't created a situation where it's disjointed the squad. If anything, it's actually brought them together because they've got something to relate to there, and they're on the attack again now. Ball coming in from the right-hand side from Tomiyasu, just a little bit rushed, and it's straight into the arms of Darman as we're into 4 minutes of added time.
Yeah, loose ball there from Tomiyasu allows the goalkeeper to get Tunisia on the front foot once again. Long ball sent forward, looking towards Elias Saad. It's overhit, but Hidakura can only head out of play for a throw-in on the near side. He'll be a little bit disappointed with that, the Japan number 4, because it allows Tunisia to get the ball launched into the box from a Jan Valerie long throw-in. He's taking his time over this, the Sheffield Wednesday man. He spent the second half of the season on loan at Young Boys in Switzerland. But the big men are indeed up from the back. Talby, Rekic and Braun all find themselves inside the penalty area, as Valerie will swing this one in towards the near post, headed up into the air by Sano, and then was Zion Suzuki fouled there inside the penalty area? Yes, he was. Hannibal seems to have come off slightly worse as he holds on to his neck. That wasn't convincing inside the penalty area from anybody, to be brutally honest, and in the end I think it's Japan that just about get away with it. He has fouled him there though, Hannibal. He can't have too many complaints.
He's tripping Zion Suzuki there, and then as Suzuki's falling, he lands on Mabry, and Suzuki obviously is quite a big goalkeeper as well, so that's going to hurt Mabry for sure. But it's down to him. He's got to be a little bit more careful there. He's not really been able to get into the game. I mean, I don't want to sort of focus on 1 or 2 players necessarily, because I think that nobody from Tunisia is getting maybe a 5.5, 6 out of 10 at best. I don't think anybody gets above that so far in this game. But it's just a case of whether Hervé Renard wants to sort of make wholesale changes. He does have, of course, 5 substitutions to play with, and he can make any number of those at the start of the second half without it counting towards any other substitutions as well as any sort of banks of changes that he wants to make. But I think for now, he's really got to ask his players whether they want this game, because there's just not enough effort, regardless of what the manager wants them to do. They're not trying hard enough for me.
No, I can agree with that. I think at some point you've got to change, and you've got to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and you've really got to try and get unsettled Japan, really. As here it is now with Hiroki Ito for the Japanese. Ball down the line to Nakamura is a good one. Further down the line for Kamada. Return ball back to Nakamura. Tunisia stopped there, and Japan didn't. And for a moment, I didn't think the referee was going to blow for a throw-in. It has indeed been given to Tunisia, and Jan Valerie has the ball in hand. Quickly thrown back to Dylan Braun of Servette in Switzerland, as his long ball sent forward is not won by Saad, and has the referee given a free kick? He has done. I thought for a moment there Japan were going to continue playing, but no, the free kick has been given as Ito went over the top of the Hanover man. And that is going to be a free kick, an opportunity for Tunisia to swing the ball towards the penalty area. Tomiyasu organising the back line. As bodies are sent forward for Tunisia. It's going to be Anas Ben Slimani to float this one in towards the end of this first half. The Norwich City man in towards the penalty area. Heads go up. It's Rekik who will divert it towards goal, but it's straight into the hands of Zion Suzuki, who is almost playing in a home World Cup this summer. Zion Suzuki's got a really interesting past as Zion Suzuki, born in New Jersey to a Ghanaian father and a Japanese mother. He's very quickly moved to Japan from a young age, and I think that's probably why he's ended up representing the Japanese national side. But 23 years of age, playing for Parma over in Italy. He's been linked with a number of top European clubs in recent years. But there goes the half-time whistle. Fantastic first half for the Japanese. They got the goal scoring going inside 4 minutes through Daichi Kamada. And then after half hour, it was Ueda who was able to make it 2. An absolute screamer from the edge of the penalty area. They've been on top throughout the most of that first half, Japan, and at half-time they lead Tunisia by 2-0.